Hello, I'm talking to you about the ego in mediumship. And we do, in some sense, we do need to have an ego to do what we do. So we've got to accept that we have one. But on the other sense, it shouldn't be the most overpowering part of our mediumship because that can be a problem. There should be no I in mediumship, which means no I in mediumship. When we're doing mediumship, it should be all about the spirit world. It should be all about them and what they would like to bring through. So it's not about us. It's not about how we are feeling. It's not about whether we're doing it the right way or whether we're getting it, because the ego will say you're not getting enough evidence, you're not getting enough emotional value, you're not giving enough healing, you're not good enough. And that's what our egos does. And so the more that we can get the ego out of the way, the better the flow of the mediumship. So it's looking at what is the aspects of your ego that is stopping your mediumship or stopping the communication of the spirit world. And people say my mind gets in the way, but really it's the thoughts, the ego thoughts that are saying, oh no, you should be better, you should be doing this, you're not as good as this person, or you're not as good as that person, or these people. And it's looking at that and using that to heal that part of yourself so that you can become more in the flow with the spirit world. So there's a great saying about ego is edging God out. So it's like that spiritual side, that divine essence. So the more that happens, the more that you're going to be not present with the connection and with what's going on. So there's no I in mediumship, if you can remember that, because that's the most important. It's all about, it's not the way you look. Sometimes you if you're standing up in front of people, I've got to look good to do this mediumship. Well, the truth be told, it's not about the way you look. It's about you relaying the message of spirit in the best possible way. So it's just really just becoming that connection to spirit and just bringing through the best information, the best that you can be, without being in that ego part of your mind, which is pulling your connection apart and pulling other things apart. So you may even sometimes you may say, oh, I'm not feeling the right direction at the moment, or I'm not feeling quite on the right path. But again, you've got to look at that, reflect on it, reflect on yourself and say, hey, what is it inside of myself that's having these feelings? Or what is it inside of myself that's holding me back from being present? Because when we say, well, you've probably all heard, be the change that you want to see in the world, or be the change that you want to bring. Well, I'd like to change that to beingness, the change, because when you are in your beingness, you're no longer trying to be somewhere, do something, achieve something. You're just being. And when you are in the presence of your being, which is really the spiritual side of yourself, just being that aspect of yourself and connecting to spirit and just letting it come through, then you're going to be in flow before even the spirit world connect to you. So it's all about spirit. It's all about what the spirit world are bringing through. It's all about them. So it's learning to be kind to you and be kind to yourself, be kind to how you're working, treat yourself with kindness, but also be kind to other people as well. So you may have colleagues that that the ego might come up and say, well, I really don't like the way they do that. And so if you're having that thought, I really don't like the way they do it, then you're moving into the ego's criticizing side, which says, oh, I don't like the way they do that. It shouldn't be done like that. So you end up getting that critical side, and that critical side can also be about yourself. So we've got that ego side that might criticize ourselves, but it will criticize others. So learning to move back and say, okay, so if there's something critical going on in the ego within your mediumship, then we've got to look at that and say, is it necessary? Is it necessary? Is it not just blocking your joy? Is it not just blocking the flow of spirit? Is it not blocking the flow of your soul and your spirit? So when you ask these questions and you come back to the yourself, you come back to your just your beingness. When you connect to the spirit, it's just letting flow what comes without having to judge, without having to criticize. You're just being what you are here, what you were born here to do. And with that as well, if you're looking at other people and you're saying, well, they should be doing it differently, no, all that showing you is not how they should be different. It's showing you your unique self and your unique talent. If you have that happening outside of yourself, it's really reflecting to you, this is the sort of medium I am. I do it for the spirituality of things. I do it for the healing of other people. I do it to inspire others. So then you start to learn what part of the positive side of you in your spirit and soul wants to emerge. So when you can step out of that critical self and step away from not worrying too much about you and where it's going, then you're going to move into the kindness for yourself, the kindness for others, but also that beingness, which is going to help a fantastic connection with the spirit world. Because when you can have that, it will all be about, what can I bring through from spirit? How can I bring it through? And so whenever you catch yourself either talking about others, or when you catch yourself criticizing yourself, or when you catch yourself criticizing your connection, come back to yourself and say, what is it inside of you that's not happy, and what needs to be healed? And once you find that, that's going to be the best mediumship development, because mediumship development is about personal development, and personal development is knowing yourself and knowing that maybe when you're tired you might not think as positive as when you're not tired. Once you acknowledge the personal development, then you can move on through your mediumship and become the best version of yourself for the spirit world and for the divine. So ego, like I said before, is edging God out, or how you would perceive that, maybe edging the divine energy out. Because when there is unconditional love, and when there's an unconditional divine energy, which is also inside and outside of you, then you're more in your beingness and you're more in the flow of who you are. And when you're more in your beingness and you're more in the flow of who you are, and then you connect to the spirit world, it's not about whether you look good, whether you're doing it well. It's about receiving and giving the information that's coming through in the best possible way, and being the best ambassador for spirit, without judgment, without being critical, and with doing it with kindness. And if you can do that, that makes you the best version of yourself that you can be today. So, but whenever you're working, move into your beingness, move into just the essence of you, that being, that presence. For when you turn up 100% in your beingness, and not in your critical mind, or not in but in that spiritual side, you'll find you'll be more in flow. The spirit world will connect to you easier. Information will flow to other people, and you can look at it afterwards and say, "Wow, wasn't the spirit world amazing?" And I think that's the most important thing. A lot of us say, someone might come up to say, "Oh, you did a really good demonstration," and you can say, and then you might say, "Oh, yes, I did, didn't I? Didn't I do that well?" But when you hear, "Didn't I do that well?" turn it around and say, "Didn't the spirit world do a good job today?" Because that's the difference. That's what really shifts personal development. That's what really shifts mediumship. So I wish you a lot of love with this. Don't forget to watch more videos and to see more about mediumship, but just take this on board. Remember, whenever it's about I, it's not about spirit. Thank you.